coach of the UT Martin equestrian team. Kim Leiter, as the equestrian team about to start up the spring portion of their schedule, wrapped up the fall in about the middle of November, and it's been a long break. But Coach, so glad to have you back on the show with us, and the season getting to start again.
Yeah, glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
So, gonna go immediately into that. Such a long time between your last meet in November to now coming up in February. What has happened in that big gap of time?
Well, the horses had a little break over winter, so they had about 6 weeks where we didn't really ride them. They got to be turned out and be horses. So we start back a little slow because the horses need to get back fitness level. The girls start back fitness level. So we're finally up and running where they can do all the things, jump the height, run and stop, do all those pieces. So the last 2 weeks have been really hard at it to try to get more ready, physically ready for the meet. So,
I guess the horses are like human personality. Some are ready to go, and some are kind of dragging their feet a little bit.
Some wintered well, had a good Christmas break, and have to get the little bit of that fitness back, get a little winter belly off because they bellied up to the hay bale in that cold. We had that really cold weather snap, so we were really grateful not to start back too early. Sometimes we go as soon as end of January, and just the way our schedule worked this year, we didn't have to, and thank goodness, because we had 2 weeks of ice where we couldn't really ride.
Yeah.
We could have got to the indoor, but we couldn't get them out of the pasture up the ice to go ride.
Well, that's tough too, because you've got to make sure they have water. Water freezes when it's cold. What do you do there?
Break the ice.
Just every morning you break
every
the
morning
ice.
And every afternoon. We have automatic waters outside that are insulated, so those don't freeze too badly as long as it doesn't stay cold long, but we have to bust those loose to the balls in them to make sure that they stay broke down. So it's a huge job in the winter.
And what I love, I walk the greenway a lot, so I see the horses as they got their coats on.
Yeah, they wear winter blankets, heavy waterproof winter blankets. Yep.
So at what temperature do you think they need the blanket?
Well, it just depends on what you're doing. We start at when it's going to freeze, just because ours live outside, so and taking them on and off there's 40 head of them, so it's not something you can do quickly if you don't have all the girls in town.
Yeah.
So we let them they get a little hairy, and we've been body clipping. You can ask Sydney. So now they all have some winter hair because we don't put it on until freezing.
What's body clipping?
Shave all the hair off of them.
With what? With a giant?
With a giant razor, just like where you get your hairs clipped. Yeah, just a big razor, and that long hair, so that because they get hot, right? When we ride
them. That takes
not
a
all
while.
of them.
How long does that take?
No, just the ones that have thicker hair. Like
but
some of them get worse.
But the whole horse.
I don't know. It takes a couple 2 or 3 hours. Depends on the horse. It really depends on the horse. And I'm looking at Sydney because she's done several of them. You can ask her about that.
I'm sure some horses are more cooperative than others.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What about Frappe? Is he? We need an update on Frappe.
He's doing really good, but he didn't need a body clip.
Okay,
so he's
got
because he gets a little Skyhawk clipped in his hip. So we got to leave him have some hair so he can clip the little design because that's his
what
little mantra.
What do you do with all the horse hair? Does it have any other alternative usage?
No. You could stuff a pillow, but it'd be kind of gross.
I'll quit asking questions.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
So you mentioned having the horses get ready for about a 2-week span, but is there any more time, I guess, before that where they need to get warmed up too?
Oh, yeah. No, we've been riding. I'm just saying we've been pushing them harder.
Okay.
They're finally ready to compete these last couple of weeks, but just slowly legging them up, legging the girl, doing a lot of fitness as opposed to running patterns and doing those types of things. So now we can really push the pattern piece hard because they are back up and running where they need to be.
Gotcha. So how does their schedule, I guess, work also with the girls as well?
The horses go 5 days a week, typically.
Okay.
Some of them, the older ones, will try to practice them 3 or 4 days a week, but most of the horses ride 5 days a week. The girls practice 4 days a week and shift, Monday through Friday, but then usually they get 1 day off.
But what about when the horses have class and homework?
Yeah, exactly. They do. They got to do their stuff. They got to learn their patterns. They got to learn all their stuff.
They got to study well.
They do. They do. Yeah.
I want to go back to the fall schedule and the fall season. A very tough one, but don't you all perform very well in that? And you went up against. We've got Auburn here, who was number 2 at the time. TCU as well, who was number 1 in the country. And just to recap there on the fall season.
Oh my gosh! Just even those big top schools, we were so close with them, and like within half a points when we did lose our points. So we're really excited. This next matchup is both ECAC foes. We lost to Delaware just barely at their house. They're ranked number 8 right now. We're 10. So and number 9 is UC Davis. So those are the 2 we're playing this time. So we're really excited to have those 2 at home right now. Coming off of such a great fall season.
So in some of the other sports, I feel the bigger schools that have the big budgets and the big enrollment, they go UT Martin.
Yep.
In equestrian, is it a little different because there are fewer teams? Do we get the respect we deserve?
It depends.
Yeah. No, that's well said.
Yeah. Some, quite a few do, absolutely, because we do a lot with not a lot, and so I think that's what they do respect us for. And it's really, our ball has a brain, right? So it's anybody's day. Depends on the type of the horses. You know, it can just go either way. So I think they do give us more respect, but. It just depends.
I hope so, because we're pretty good.
We are.
Hey,
yeah.
we are good.
We have if we handle this next week we go in, there is a chance we could make it to the Nationals still yet this year.
Yeah.
Delaware's in 8th, and if we beat them at home, that could really help us out. Now, things can shift depending on what other teams do. Fresno almost had a big upset. Yes, but they didn't. They almost beat TCU. So there's some things that'll happen in the spring that'll upset stuff, but we have we have a chance at it, and that's up
all
to
you
us.
can ask for.
That's us. Yeah,
is
that's
the
up to us.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And UT Martin has been ranked in the top 10 in all 12 polls during this past season.
Absolutely.
And had 59 head-to-head victories this fall. Most successful event, reigning 17 wins, 5 MOPs. Emma Schaefer, Lexi Bailey, Kate Davis. Just focusing in on those three right now, their performances and how they're helping your team.
Oh my gosh. Well, Emma's a senior, and she is just level-headed and handles things with a big piece of our game is mental, because you've got to get on a horse you either don't know or may feel different because somebody else rode it first, and stay in that level-headed. She's just been an excellent leader across the board because she starts in the reining and the horsemanship, but so does Kate and Lexi. So they've just been staples. Kate was freshman of the year her freshman year, and those two and Kate and Lexi are both juniors, and Lexi is really coming into herself, just being a leader to my freshmen, and it's been really fun to watch all three of them. And excited that I get to at least have 2 of them again next year. So they've been excellent this year.
And on to the jumping seat discipline, 16 victories in fences and then 13 victories in flat. Sydney, who will come on later, she's performed well. Elizabeth Becker, Gabby Adams as well. They've accounted for some MOP. So what's going on that side?
Oh, my gosh. That's been really exciting to watch that grow. We've had the luxury now of having the same jumping seat coach for 2 years in a row. We'd had us change every season in the jumping seat for 4 years. Those girls have had a lot of, so now we've got some stability, and you're seeing some of that shine through. Just that confidence and that connection, and having that coach be able to help you a little bit better when you're starting into the pen makes a big difference. So that's, I think, a big piece of what you're seeing is Coach Caitlin's done a really good job, and that's showing through our squad as well.
You make a good point with the word stability.
Stability.
And that's with your teammates. That's with all of it. And man, can it make it, because it's one of the unknowns that you kind of take out of the equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The culture of our team has gotten so good this year, and they help each other. And it's one of the things I said, I know that things are going good because I can step away and go handle something, and they take care of each other, and they're ready for that next piece, and they're coaching and helping each other, and that makes such a difference because, 36 heads are better than one. Like, everybody's got, there's all everybody rides a horse a little different style, a little bit better, and so they help each other out, and that really makes a difference.
I equate it. I'm a parent, and when my son first was able to make his own, when I walked away and he could make lunch, and scramble an egg or whatever,
you're
I'm
like, oh, I can do,
wow. But as a coach, I mean, it's kind of within the competition when you can walk away and know that everything is going to be okay, and they can right the ship without having that's
right. I have to handle something else. There's been a challenge. There's a piece that the head coach does all these things. But the next piece comes on, and the girls are taken care of, and they're ready, and they know what's going to happen, and there's just no, oh my gosh, where'd you go? And that's just such a difference.
And when they can handle problems, you know that the life part of it comes into it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And that's 90% of what we do is problem solve. We laugh. Okay, here's our plan A, but like if we're at C D E, we got a C D E F G. Hopefully we're not getting down that low in the problem solve. In our next plan and our next plan. But what's next? Instead of dwelling on that didn't go well. Okay, now what's next?
But that's life.
It is life.
Yeah. Weirdly enough.
Yeah.
Always about the problem solving too. I mean, you got to have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, everything down to Z.
But sometimes, and I've experienced this, and I'm sure it works with your sport too. Plan D might be better than Plan A.
Absolutely,
you didn't
for that
realize
horse.
it.
Absolutely, happy accident.
Yeah. Well said.
Absolutely. Yeah. But what the biggest thing I think is really cool about our sport, and we talk about it all the time, is all the things that they're learning, how they're learning to communicate. I'm looking at Sydney because she's grown a lot. She's a leader on our team. She's a captain, and all that is taking them to all these really cool things that they're going to do in life. All the things they've had to handle, and it's just that's the best piece of it.
Your sport's different than some other sports because of one, more responsibility.
Yes.
And the independent part of it, I think, also.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Where it's a team sport, but it's an individual sport, too.
Absolutely. Team sport, where they go set it all up, and they've got to do the horses and get everything ready, but then you've got to cross that line and you're by yourself. You've got this team behind you, but you've got to be able, it's all on you in that moment when those, those 3 minutes you're in the pen, it's you.
Yeah.
Right. But when you come out of the pen, you've got that whole team behind you, and that's what's really cool.
That's kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 home meets this week. You mentioned it. Number 8, Delaware State, and then number 9, UC Davis coming up at home. And we talked to Jolita Henderson a lot about, at the beginning of cross-country track and field season, that there are some rust busters.
Yes.
Is this one of those type of weekends?
No, we don't have a chance for that to be a rust buster. We've been trying to do scrimmages, and we do all those pieces again to knock that off. We need to come out and handle Delaware right off the bat. So our goal is not to have it be a rust buster. But it'll set us all up going into conferences because they're 2 conference foes. So we've got this. We've got Auburn. We have another meet at home that'll be a little less tough on us, and then going into conferences. So we have some big goals. So right now we got to come in 120% right off the bat. No rust. We better knocking that off in practice.
If somebody's watching or listening and they want to be involved, they want to watch, what can they do?
Come to the Ned Carter Ag Pavilion. 9 a.m. We'll play Delaware State on Friday. Then Delaware and UC Davis about 2 o'clock, well, depending on the weather. They'll play each other. So the next morning we'll start by 10:30 on Saturday. With the other team they'll play each other in between there. So we'll start our game against UC Davis about 10:30.
So come out, sit in the stands.
Sit in the stands, watch.
And how much does it cost?
Nothing.
No
it's
way.
Free. Yeah,
really?
that's good. And we're having we try to tie philanthropic pieces, and we're supporting the Redfern Animal Shelter this time. So we're taking donations for them.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
As Sydney Ott joins us, an equestrian student-athlete, senior from Defiance, Missouri, having a good season for the UT Martin Skyhawks. Sydney, thanks so much for taking some time out of your day and joining us here at Zaxby's. It is obviously a great crowd that we always get over here at Zaxby's, great environment. But, again, thanks so much for joining us here, taking some time out of your day.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
So, coming here from Defiance, Missouri, we had to clarify that if that was the correct pronunciation. Defiance, Missouri, how far away is that from Martin?
It's about a little under 4 hours, so it's not a bad drive. If I have time to go home Friday, I can, but I can also stay here and enjoy time with friends.
So that's always great as well. So back to high school. Westminster?
Yes.
Westminster. I thought there was a team at Westminster, but Westminster Christian Academy. Talk about your experience there and your time with equestrian at that.
Yeah, so through high school, equestrian is more individual based. So you can go through like IEA or IHSA, which can be through high school teams and schools, but mine was a private school, so I was very more individual and had my own farm and such, and competed on an individual basis rather than a team. So going through that has really been interesting, going to college where it's a full-on team atmosphere compared to just you're on your own, you're competing for yourself, your own points, and for your own titles instead of a team title.
Yeah, and I guess that's cool for you to be surrounded by a lot of like-minded people.
Yes, yeah, and it's very cool to see. Like growing up, I did basketball, soccer, tennis, all your big team sports, and some girls didn't from equestrian because it's such an individual sport. So coming here and being able to have girls who haven't necessarily been on a team before, but also kind of evolve into being a teammate and like a family as one has been a very cool experience.
Would you compete outside of Missouri in high school, or was
Yes.
it just okay? So where would you travel?
Most places I would go is like Franklin, Tennessee. All of our finals are big East Coast, so Harrisburg, Lexington, Kentucky, all around the world. We have people from like Washington and New York coming to Martin.
People don't realize the dedication that it takes for your sport, because you just don't. I mean, high school basketball, you travel 15 minutes in a school bus and you're ready to compete.
Yeah.
It's a lot different in equestrian.
Yes, for sure.
And it gets you ready for traveling in college as well, because you got to go so far away. What's the farthest distance, I guess, that you've ever had to travel for equestrian?
Oh, I think probably Delaware. I think Delaware or California is probably our top 2 biggest trips that we have to make.
Yeah. That's a pretty good trip.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of that travel? I guess I know some people like to travel a little bit, but I know that others don't like it so much because then – I don't know. The trip to Morehead State.
Look, I can answer. Well, I'll let you answer, and then I'll give my answer. What's your answer?
It's overall been a really fun. I loved traveling. Of course, the 18-plus hour bus ride isn't the best thing ever, but the fact that we always joke that when we get to go on the road with the whole team, it's a big family sleepover. And that's what just makes it so fun, is that you get to know those girls so much better through those confined spaces for so many hours.
For me, we used to do this thing where high school kids would come and they would always ask me as a broadcaster, what's the best part of your job and what's the worst part of your job? And I would say travel. It's both.
Right.
Because, and you're just what you said, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you're with the crew at a Cracker Barrel laughing and having fun and doing it, that's great. But at 2 o'clock in the morning when you just want to be in your own bed, it's not quite as fun.
No.
Yeah.
But what a great opportunity to get to do this, though, because you've gotten to see the United States of America.
Right. Very true.
You mentioned family and talking about your group, talking about the team as a whole as family. And just go into, I guess, some of the relationships you have on the team and just them as a whole.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy to look back freshman year on just our team culture in general. We had such a big senior class my freshman year. I don't even quite remember. I think it was like 15 plus that ended up graduating. And through that, we had to have a lot of people step up. And so now that we're able to we're growing more, and we're not focused now on a family culture, but more of like a championship mind. And our newest term that we brought up is making our mark, making our legacy, for our legacy, which has been a huge thing. Instead of just let's make a mark on the map, it's now let's make a mark for the university, for our community and our culture. So it's been very, very cool to see that evolve through all of the years that I've graduated.
Legacy is a big word. That means 10 years from now, what you're doing now will matter.
Yeah.
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 So what are things you do now to help 10 years from now?
And that's just through our communication, like Coach Kim said, is that our communication and just bringing up our freshmen and sophomores and kind of showing them, here's the ropes, here's what we've laid the path for you, this is where we want you to take it. And just, for instance, our horses, our team that we had freshman year of horse lineup is nothing compared to what we have now, and that's just through the donors and showing our appreciation to others in our community. So that's one big way that we're showing our legacy, is just showing how our horses are cared for, as well as the people on our team.
Definitely.
You're talking about legacy, leaving your mark. What does that mean to you? That Chris said it 10 years down the road, that someone who comes to UT Martin, they see your name up on some of the honors that you've been able to get. What does that mean to you to be able to leave a legacy and impact on the program?
Yeah, it's so surreal. Coming from someone who wasn't even sure I was going to ride on a D1 team. Freshman, I signed June. Just being able to be, your small little minnow freshman, and then all of a sudden being able to be a leader on this team and also make those big points is incredible to me. And I just hope that it shows that others can do it, and that anything is possible, no matter where you are in life.
What you're saying is that 10 years from now, if you come back here, you hope we're in a much better place.
Yes.
And that will be your reward.
Yes. Yeah.
And then 20 years from now, those people 10 years from now have helped, but you also started it.
Yes. Yeah. My biggest hope is, we're not fighting for nationals. We're actually in the nationals. We're that top 6, the top 5, top 6. We're not having to fight for those first round, but instead, right now we are, and that's part of it. That's part of life, right? Making that ranking and getting up there. My goal is that hopefully we can hit that 5 or 6 seat.
Awesome.
I'm talking about your journey throughout the past couple of years. Coach Leiter talked about you growing as a leader as well. Last year, first Skyhawk ever to capture all conference honors in 2 different events during the same season. Got that feat at the Eastern College Athletic Conference in both fences and flat. But now jumping over to this year, what's the growth been like?
Oh my goodness. I feel like we've grown, myself and the team, in the past semester, just with, again, the 15 freshmen coming in. Also, from junior year, getting those 2 accolades, which is huge, and I truly at the time didn't even know about that. To now, I'm more comfortable myself and in the team, and now we can actually this is kind of like, okay, our start point. Now we can keep going from here.
We've also heard you're a horse barber. So,
Yes.
So describe that. Take us through the whole process.
Yeah, so we have a couple girls on the team who are really good at it, and there is a kind of a technique to it.
Yeah.
And the biggest part of it is what we've learned and we've taught the girls, is that it's about how clean the horse is. Because if the horse isn't clean, you're not going to get clean marks, or you're going to get streaks all over.
And you mean like dust and dirt?
Yep. Yeah. So it's about I would say about a 2-hour process at least. If you include the bath time, maybe 4 hours, but you usually get about 2 or 3 girls and you can knock it out real quick.
So what, bath time's a water hose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, bath or
soap or
soap.
just,
yeah.
Okay.
You got to get them squeaky clean.
Do horses like baths?
It depends on the horse. Some of them love to get pampered, while others aren't such a big fan. They'd rather just go roll in the mud more.
So with the cut, do you start at the head and go? What do you?
Yeah, it kind of depends, I guess. If you got 3 girls going, we usually get someone doing like the main body, the legs, and the head. It kind of depends on what the horse is willing to. We're not trying to scare them or make it a horrible experience for them. So we always just keep in check on what the horse wants and what they're telling us. So
have any of them asked for a pedicure afterwards?
Thankfully not. I would not know. We would probably send our farrier for that one. But
Who is your favorite horse to give a haircut to or about to?
Oh, don't tell Brighton, but Zazu.
Wait, is Zazu?
Brighton's a personal horse. My personal horse that's here.
Is Zazu
I got
named
Brighton
after-
in
Right,
the contact list here.
Is Zazu named after Lion King?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yep.
Is that your favorite name of a horse on the team?
Yes. probably.
Zazu's
Yeah.
so Frappe
I'm
is,
lost, but I've
we need to
seen
block
Lion
out
King. Who is
Frappe's.
Zazu in Lion King?
He's
Isn't
the
he
bird.
Look at
Yeah,
me.
the bird, yeah.
Okay.
He is
see,
the bird.
Where Mufasa's personal
What
bird.
color is the bird? Is it blue?
It's like a toucan.
Yeah.
Okay, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's very random, kind of like
I
not
love
one of the top 10 characters.
No, not at all.
And
but
for
I mean,
you to even know it, Davis, is impressive.
well, listen,
Where did Brighton come from?
He was a personal horse at my family farm who we kind of try to work with kids, and he was supposed to be like a lesson horse and kids horse, but turned out he wanted a much bigger job. So we were like, let's take him to college, and he's done amazing here, and the girls have absolutely doing such a good job with him. So
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, senior this year.
Yes.
I mean, how are you looking forward to the next couple of months here in college?
yeah, it's flying by. It's quite crazy. It's a little surreal that my time's coming to an end, but we're making the most out of it.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory here. Chris Brinkley alongside me as Jolita Henderson, head coach of the UT Martin track and field team, joins us as the track and field team just competed at the PNC Bank Bellarmine Classic. Performed very well there. Multiple personal records, also a podium finish as well. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. How'd the weekend go?
Thank you for having me. It was good. It was solid meet. I think they did what they needed to do. They're where I need them to be right now. Couple bumps and bruises, but they'll get it fixed before conference.
We'll start out going down some of the performance lists, some of the major performers. Holly Henderson breaking a 25-year-old school record in the triple jump and also a personal record for her, 11.38 meters there.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Holly is a transfer, and she actually, her record before then was 11.08 meters. So for her to go 3.8 is like big. She didn't jump at her last school that much. She had injury issues and like different stuff like that, and I took a chance on her, and I was like, we're gonna see what happens. And obviously she is a great investment.
Obviously so.
She's a great investment, so she's doing really good. And man, shout out to Tamikia Glenn. Like, she's an amazing athlete. When she competed here, like, it was ridiculous. So she holds a lot of those records. So when one of my athletes beats her records, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, oh, okay, we're doing something.
Yeah.
And like No, so it's nice. It's nice to see that.
And that record set all the way back in 1999.
Yes.
I shouldn't say all the way back because now
back.
Chris is going to get mad. You might get mad.
I'm not gonna get mad. I was born '94.
Okay, see, there you go. Well, I
You were
made
here, though. At least you were here.
I made some comment on a football broadcasting. Chris and John Hadler lit me up for it. I said, all the way back
in the good old days.
back
it was
in
like
the
2000
1990s or something
back
like
in
that.
the
You can't
day.
say that.
They got mad. I'm sorry. They got mad at
I
me.
didn't get mad. I got offended.
No, they got offended by it. I was like, are you-
I'm not that old.
I mean, I wasn't alive during that. I can say whatever. Anywho.
So you were born in '94.
Yes, my birthday's coming up.
Ooh.
When is it?
Next Friday,
Okay.
the 16th.
I was
So
about to
what's
say,
your sign?
yeah.
What is your
Aquarius.
Okay.
I'm like the ending of them. Yeah,
I got you.
I'm
There you
competing
go.
for my birthday. Yeah, I'm running.
Love it. Love it. On to the second major performer. He's going to be on the show with us as well.
Yes.
Chadwick Stewart got first place in the 60-meter dash, tying his own school and personal record, 6.84 seconds there. Really good for him.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy?
What?
He didn't even run as fast as.
Oh, here we go.
I don't even think his head popped up
He didn't
there.
run as fast as his block start was not as great as I wanted it to be. It was better in the practices a couple days before, so hopefully we can get that all to connect and maybe we'll get a dub at conference.
How does a competitor approach their own personal records? Are they constantly trying to outdo themselves? I mean,
You have to.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to. It's you and the clock. You know, we're individual based, but I mean, team points get added, but like it's an individual sport. You have to focus on you, so it's you and the clock all the time.
And the personal record, obviously, in practice, you're still trying to beat your personal record, but if you beat it in practice,
that means nothing.
okay. And you tell them that it means nothing.
That means nothing.
Well, to me, it would mean that you could do it in competition.
Yes.
You should do it in competition.
Yes. So the way our practices are ran, so for instance, they have repeat 400s today. And if somebody comes through at a 400 at 101 and then you run the same thing at the meet, then that tells me you don't try at the meet.
Oh.
You know?
Oh.
Like that shows me like you don't try. So, hey, they should be running
Yeah,
a lot faster.
what's the pep talk there whenever you see that number? You're like, okay.
I can't coach fear.
Well, that's what
That's
it is.
fair.
And don't try means
fair.
that there's some kind of
Mm-hmm.
internal belief that's holding them, and usually it comes down to fear.
I can't coach fear.
It does to come down to fear.
You can't.
So what do you
No-
say to
no
someone
one
like
can.
that?
No.
When-
No one can. I give them small milestones to reach. So 400 indoor, it's 2 laps. There's a break-in point after the second curve. So I'll say, okay, your goal today is to beat everybody to the curve. Beat everybody to the break, and let's see what happens.
So you're breaking it down.
Yeah.
Because
Sometimes
fear
you
is a
have to.
weird thing. What are you scared
is.
of? What are you? And a lot of people are, and it's the craziest thing. And I've learned it in life, myself included. You're afraid of success, or you can
Yeah.
be afraid of failure.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
But I doubt it. Our deepest fear is not that we're incompetent.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Yeah.
So like that's the thing is that we are scared of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's
And
you're-
see, Coach McMillan has said this all the time, and I know you talk with Coach a lot, but
Yes.
when a player scores, not anybody on this team, but years ago when a player would just score 20 points and have 10 rebounds, I'm like, what was that all about? And he goes, well, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Let's see if she does it in the next game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, now she's raised her standard.
Mm-hmm.
Now I expect her to do this again. In your sport, I guess you're constantly expecting it to be repeated.
Yes. Yes.
Because if you do it once, you can do it again.
Yeah, most definitely.
Barring an injury. And that's a lot more responsibility on an athlete, and that's where the fear comes
Yes,
from. Yeah?
it is. But that's the thing that I never put that on them to compete. Like I never go, oh, you need to match your PR or you need to be better than that. I'm looking at, was your start okay? Was the in between race okay? Was the ending okay? Because like I was just talking to Coach Kim, is I know where we can be. It's can you do your job? You know, like if I can get you to do your job, then we're gonna be good. So it's just focus on that and breaking it down a little bit.
It's the Bill Belichick, Nick Saban for it. Do your job.
Yeah,
All you
just
got to
do
do
your
is
job.
just do your job.
Yeah.
And everything's going to turn out well. Sam Schumann, excellent during cross-country season, and then he's turned it over here in the 3K race, 8-play finish, and then a PR for him there too. Very
Yeah.
impressive.
You know, so Sam actually wasn't pleased with his race. That's the crazy part. Like these kids are doing well, but they're not happy about it, and which is good because that means they're still hungry, and you know that they know that they have more, and we know that they have more. But he was just like, I didn't like that race. Like I didn't like the way I raced it, and I felt like I could have done more. That's fine. That means you still have it in there. Let's do it at conference. You know, so
Right.
it's nice.
So where do you draw, I guess, that line of where someone might be being too hard on themselves, and you as a coach have to be like, no, wait, that was good, but then you also have to have the flip side of it, like, okay, no, I know what you're saying. You can do better than that. Where do you have that, I guess, line there?
Well, it's a very thin line. It is. So you have some people that may race and they'll be like, I wasn't tired after that race. Okay, if you're not tired, like it's running. You're supposed
Yeah.
to be tired. Doesn't matter like how far you go, it's running. You know, like you have to be tired. That means you exerted energy. Like if you aren't tired, then you didn't give enough effort. So it's looking at that part of it, and then the other part is like, okay, you did well, but you still felt like you had more. That's fine. If you did well and you felt like you had more, that's okay. We can work with that. We can talk about race like strategies and tactics and things like that. But if you go out and you go, oh, I didn't feel tired afterwards, yeah, that's on you.
Yeah, let me ask you, do you play golf at all? Have you ever played?
I actually have played a couple.
Okay. In golf, and this happens to people who aren't very good like me, like I can play really well and not score well.
Yeah.
Because maybe I had one bad hole and the rest of it. Or I can not really play very well and score well because I made a couple long putts that were just flukes or luck.
Yeah.
Can the same thing happen in your sport where you can really run fundamentally well but not have a great time, or vice versa, where you feel like you didn't do your best but you scored well or your time was great, but you know I could do better, I could do this part better and improve my time? Yeah.
So yes, so that's kind of what this weekend was. A lot of people ran decent, but they didn't run the best of their ability, but I don't want them to because I need you to do that at conference. So like if you got a PR, then like, okay, that's cool, that's fine, but you didn't have to, you know? So they should feel heavy. They should feel like, oh, I can't move, I don't feel fast. Like, they should feel like that right now. But in 2 weeks, they won't feel like that at all. They're going to feel like, oh, you just released us and we are about to launch.
And I guess the good part of that is that they recognize the gap. They're self-evaluating, and along with your coaching, they're trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Moving on here to some of the other performances, looking at Angus Monroe, freshman, in the 800-meter. PR for him there. Luke Johnson, a PR in the 5K. And then Hudson Hall, too. He PR'd in the 1 mile there. So how about those 3 guys?
Okay, so Hudson has been around for quite some time. This is last year, and I'm going to miss him. He's been doing really well. He's shown a lot of leadership with those, like, mid-distance guys. He's just shown, like, okay, you can get better. Like, you just put in the work, you do what you have to do, and you know, he's a symbol of, like, okay, you don't have to be the best of the best coming in, but you can work hard to be better, you know? And he's, like, shown that. You have Luke Johnson, who was kind of good right off the bat when he first started. I mean, he got freshman of the year last year in cross country, so he's very talented. He just didn't know he was talented, and we kind of had to bring that out. But I think Tony's doing an amazing job with that, and he's just, you know, he doesn't say much, but he leads by example of, like, I can be young. I don't care how old you guys are. If I'm going to outrun you, I'm going to outrun you, you know? So it's good to have those people. Like, he doesn't have to speak up and be like, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing it. No, like, he just kind of goes with it, and you just go after it. And then Angus, oh gosh, Angus is so talented, very, very talented, very talented kid. I call him Jelly. He's one of the weakest in the weight room, so I call him Jelly because his arms look like a jellyfish whenever he's trying to power clean, and it is hilarious. But, like, you wouldn't even, seeing him run, you wouldn't even know he wasn't that strong. But, like, he is strong as far as, like, aerobically. If I can just get him good in the weight room, oh, that kid's going to be a beast. It's going to be crazy.
2 other performers that were really good. Rita Eimer continuing to perform so incredibly well here in the track and field season. She got a PR in the 800-meter, finished 6th, and then Maggie Roy led the Skyhawks in the 1 mile, had a PR of her own right there too.
Yeah. So with Rita, like I said before, she's just not young anymore, and it's nice. Like, she's a junior. All of her training is kind of like caught up to her, so it's like it finally has started to click. Like, I don't think she knows how good she's gonna be, and like we have numbers in our head of how good she can be in her 800 and in her mile and stuff like that, but we're not telling her because she doesn't need to know. Because if you tell her, she's gonna freak out. She's gonna be like, I don't know if I can do that, but, like, we just watched you do it, you know? So it's kind of like, just let her do her thing, and if that's been working for her, that's been working for her. Clearly, it's been working for her. So we're just gonna keep running it that way. And Maggie is actually the same type of athlete that Rita is. Super talented as well. She's just not a freshman anymore. She's, you know, like,
more experience.
Yeah, and sometimes you hate to say that, but, like, it is. Like, that's how it is in college. Like, you come from being the best of the best at your school, and then you come in, and guess what? Everybody around the country is the best of the best. You know, like, and so you kind of have to start over a little bit. And some people sink, some people swim, and we hope eventually you start swimming. You know? So.
Music City Challenge up Friday to Saturday this week, going up against some of the SEC teams again. As you all get ready for that, just your thoughts there.
Okay, so this upcoming weekend is a big meet, and everybody's not ready for it, so everybody won't go. So it will be a smaller number of people that will be going to the meet. We'll just see what happens. I'm hoping, this is my thought process to this meet, is if you line up next to somebody from Tennessee and Georgia Tech and Georgia University and Auburn, and you line up next to them, and guess what? You compete well, guess what? Who is EIU? Who is Little Rock? Who is TSU? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my goal. That's what I'm hoping for. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I'm not wrong, but hey, coaching is all about trial and error.
That's right.
Exactly.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Chadwick Stewart joins us from the track and field team. Just got first place in the 60-meter dash, tied his own school record and personal record of 6.84 seconds. He joins us now, a junior from Clarendon, Jamaica. Did I pronounce that correct here?
Clarendon.
Clarendon.
But I'm also a transfer student from Quincy University.
From Quincy University. So I guess we'll start there. What was Coach Henderson, Coach Tony, how'd they get you over here to UT Martin from Quincy University?
I mean, from Queen's University, I choose to transfer mainly because of tuition increase.
Mhm.
So, and majority of my friends, they were leaving and they were international. So, I was gonna be the only one left as international. So I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna stay there. So I went out of my way and I started scouting like different schools, and I reached out to Coach Anderson, and she accepted me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
coming to Martin,
Yes.
Tennessee.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
What's the difference, I guess, in life over here compared to life back home in Jamaica? What are some of the major differences?
Way colder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
got
yeah.
the ice and the snow this year.
Way colder. Yep.
Yeah.
But
Is that the first time that you've seen snow and
nah,
ice?
Nope, it's not
Okay.
my first time because I was in Quincy, and Quincy is like closer to like in the St. Louis and
Oh,
Chicago
okay.
area, so we get a lot of snow there.
What
Okay.
about food? What do you miss that's in Jamaica that we do not have here?
Definitely my stew chicken, my
Yeah.
curry,
Uh-huh.
oxtail,
Uh-huh.
like stuff that I can like cook. But I mean, I'm cooking right now because I bought my like seasoning and stuff back from home
Yeah.
online.
So one of the things I'm excited about is the Bob Marley movie is coming out. Have you heard of it?
I heard about it.
Yeah.
I
What
heard-
What is Bob Marley in Jamaica? What does he mean to your?
I mean, back home is really big. It's like it's bigger than Usain Bolt back home.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
By a mile. But I'm not a really fan of like music and those stuff. But
Mhm.
based on what I've saw, is like a superhero back home.
Yeah, and this movie kind of presents that.
Yeah.
It'll give us a chance to see and know his
Yep.
story.
Yeah, I know what went down where like his death and everything, because I heard like there's something else bad of it, but
Mhm.
I don't really understand. But I
Mhm.
guess I'll
Watch
probably
the movie.
Watch
yeah.
it and
Yeah,
see
we'll
what-
learn together.
That's what they want us to do. They
Yeah.
want us to watch it. And
Yeah.
Did you compete and run in Jamaica?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did.
When did you start? How old were you?
I think I started when I was like 5 years old, so it's a long time.
Mhm.
A really long time ago.
So I guess number one thing that I think of going from Jamaica to over here to the United States and Quincy University and now UT Martin, homesickness. What's that like for you, and how do you deal with that being far away from home? Do you get homesick? I mean, what's that like?
I mean, I do, but it's not really an issue, to be honest, because I've been away. I've been apart like from my parents from I was like 12, because I grew up in Clarendon, but then I got a scholarship to attend Calabar High School that is known for like track and field, like a good scholarship. So I had to leave my parents to move to Kingston. So that was kind of challenging, but I think that like paved the path for me, so I can like, I don't know, so I can like be more
Independent.
Yeah.
in that.
Tell us
sense.
about your family. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have two brothers. One is 29, but we have like different like mother,
Mhm.
but same dad.
Mhm.
And my younger brother is like 19. He's like 6'5".
Oh.
So I didn't get like any height or anything. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but
But you got athleticism. You're
Yeah,
showing
you got
it.
the athleticism from it.
I
That was
did.
the main thing.
I did.
So Chris brought up Usain Bolt, or I think you brought up Usain Bolt. Is
Yeah.
that where you drew inspiration from to
Honestly,
start
yeah.
track and field?
Yep.
Okay. Is
Usain
there a
Bolt.
favorite event or favorite race that you remember from Usain Bolt that said, okay, that right there, I want to be that whenever I go to college and start growing up?
I mean, I don't know about beating it, but it's definitely that 9.58. The
Yeah.
first time I saw he did that,
Yeah.
that's where I got it from. I said, yep, I definitely want to do track and field
Yeah.
and do something where I can like help my family.
Have you ever seen him in person or met him?
Yeah,
Oh wow!
He's
Tell
super
us.
tall.
Yeah, tell us about him. Where did you see him?
I've seen. I mean, we have never like spoke or anything, but I've seen him like at the background like stadium like warming up and stuff, and he's like super tall.
Okay, I didn't
That's
realize
it.
he was tall.
He's
Yeah.
like
yeah.
6. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5".
Really?
Yeah, he's like super tall.
So he's fast and tall.
Yep.
So I want to go back to this past meet, first place 60-meter dash. Going through your head here, getting first place, I mean, how do you feel that you performed here in this last meet?
I mean, I think I could perform way better, knowing that I was kind of like under the weather. But honestly, I wasn't looking forward to a PR. I was just trying to execute my race as best I could. Try to stay relaxed. Try to finish like injury free, and I came out with a personal best, and I'm like satisfied.
And I mean, you come away with first place too. There's
Yeah,
there's
first
not a lot to
place.
complain
Yep.
about too. Whenever you get first,
I want
place
to do
as
one
well.
other thing. You got a gallon of water over there. or
Yes.
what? Yeah. Can we show that to the camera?
we
I just
got,
think that's
like-
because real athletes, folks. I mean, like we carry around water bottles. I have
Yeah.
one here, but now real athletes
This
carry
is
this around.
Oh, how many? That is 101 fluid ounces there.
Yeah. Now you'll drink all of that today.
I have to. My coach inspired me to because of something that happened to me in training. Like
Did you were dehydrated or have cramps or something?
Yes, I had a lot of cramps.
Yeah.
From my quad, my hamstring, everywhere was cramping up.
Yeah. When you were walking around with that, I was
So
like, yeah,
how
he's the
many,
real deal.
How many of those do you try to drink a day?
I had like I just tried to use the restroom like over like probably 10 times. That's what my coach said. So I just like keep drinking. Just keep drinking. So I don't really stay. I don't
really know the
keep
count,
count.
but
Yeah.
you just keep drinking
Just
away.
keep drinking.
Just keep
Don't float away.
Yeah, just keep hydrating, keep
Yeah.
the cramps away. Oh my goodness,
I love it.
So, as we approach here, this next meet coming up here in the Music City, just some of your expectations as you all go into this next week of training and get ready for that.
My main expectation is to stay focused, keep on drinking as much water as possibly can, stay injury free, and execute, and hopefully I can leave Saturday with a PB and a school record.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here on the Skyhawk Sports Network, here on Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Greger here with me, Chris Brinkley. Now joining us, very special guest, the man behind the camera, Chris.
Yes.
This is Ryan Mindley joining us now, Associate Athletic Director for External Operations. Here, Jody Duncan booing you over there.
Yeah.
What?
Won't expect anything less. Well, you know
You getting
why?
heckled?
You've jumped the shark now
What? With you?
with the show, right? If I'm on, do you even know what that term of expression is? Is jump the shark? You've never.
No.
Chris, can you help me with that?
Happy Days. You're Fonzarella, Arthur Fonzie?
The
Fonzie?
Fonz?
Yeah.
I just remember from they referenced him in Friends.
Well, there was an episode where he literally jumps a shark, and then that's when the
Like
TV
on a
show
jet
went down.
ski?
It tanked.
Yeah.
The show tanked. So that's the
Jump,
thing.
yeah.
Usually when you jump the shark, that means you've
That we're
gone
going
over your
downhill.
peak. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
here
what
we
we've
are.
done
And
today.
so
And here
he's
we
the
are.
shark, and we're jumping.
And we're the Fonz. So we're the Fonz.
Hey.
And we're jumping the shark.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There we go. We'll
Do you
take
have
that.
questions for me?
Yes,
Ask them.
we do. We
Okay.
do. So Ryan Mindley joining us, current Associate Athletic Director for External Operations.
Yes.
Leaving us on March 1st, going back to Missouri Western.
Correct.
But-
I don't know why I'm on here. I'm leaving.
What we want to bring you on is talk about, I guess, your time here at UT Martin behind the camera and your relationship with some of the athletes and everybody here.
Loved it. My time here has been incredible. Wasn't looking to leave, just an opportunity to go back home, but this has been great. It's been great working with you guys. But that being said, so I don't have to answer questions about this, I'm just going to throw questions at you. Can we do
Oh,
that?
nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no one gets to talk to you guys are so good. I don't know the last time anybody's interviewed you, Chris,
Never.
besides,
Never.
romance novels, right? I'm sure you've talked about that. Let's go right there. Tell me, are we not supposed to share that? Is that not up for share?
I don't care.
No, we
Okay.
can do
I
it.
don't-
Fire away.
Tell me a little bit about your now side job, which has kind of become a thing.
Well, I'm an audiobook narrator with mystery and romance mainly, but I've also written 3 romance novels.
'Kay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do we make that jump?
Yeah. Well,
See, look at that.
I would. Yeah.
Jody has read all of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're novellas. Let me
Novellas?
understand it. Yeah.
Shorts.
They're a little shorter. They're
Yep.
under 25,000 words.
Okay, so
yeah.
at what point, because you've been doing this for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
you've been in this community for a long time, what point do you make that transition?
I actually was getting a master's degree to teach, and an instructor advised me to try the voiceover world. So I began doing some voiceover work and landed an audiobook that was in the romance world. And I only got the book because I had a Tennessee accent. And the book was extremely popular. The series is extremely popular, being made into a show on HBO or Apple. I think I could probably say that.
You can say it.
And then, so I've been to a lot of events and got to know a lot of authors. Colleen Hoover is probably the most famous author in the world right now. She outsold John Grisham, Stephen King, and J.K. Rowling last year.
I thought you were going to say the Bible. I
So,
was like, man,
no, she
she's
outsold the
killing
Bible too, but I wasn't going to say that because we're all kind of disappointed in that, quite honestly. But anyway, so I got into that world, and I don't know, I've just kind of jumped into that world.
What year was that? How long ago was
2016.
that? Okay, so about 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's obviously – so then the writing came after.
Yeah, well, I always wanted to be a writer. I was writing when I was 10 or 11 years old, yeah. What's crazy is that there's a big genre in romance where it's sports romance. Yeah.
Have you done sports romance
No,
yet?
but I
like
could
High
write
School
that.
Musical?
I could write that. Yeah, high school, yeah.
Okay.
And hockey seems to be the most popular romance sport that's out there, yeah. Women like sports romances that involve hockey, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm learning
So
a lot.
I'm out of
I'm
here.
learning a lot.
So I think I would do basketball probably.
So when you're I don't know what's more fascinating, is the writing aspect of it or the narrating aspect of it? Like, is that – how are you reading? Are we getting ready to go off the air? Am I
Yeah,
hearing
we should,
music?
we
got
should
like
sign
a-
off.
Let's keep
minute.
this going. Sign it off. We'll keep going.
Okay, so we're going to sign off here on our radio broadcast for Chris Brinkley, Ryan Menley, all of our guests that we've had on today. It's been another great show, Chris.
Yeah, it has been a wonderful show. Yet I've learned a lot.
And we're going to learn a whole lot more, too. I'm very excited about this. Well, again, for our producer back in the studio, Jerry Davidson, we will sign off now from our radio broadcast. Make sure to get on YouTube and watch the remainder of the podcast on UTM Sports. God bless from Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee. And now we're going to switch it back.
Okay. Now we're back.
Yeah, here we
okay.
go.
So we're still on? Yeah.
So
Yes.
do the romance novels find you, or was that just your first forays? I'm going to.
I was doing a lot of really poorly written nonfiction books
Okay.
on things like how to play Minecraft, how to grow tomatoes, how to play Pokemon Go. Yeah, and they're available on Audible. Yeah, and then I landed the first fiction book, and I was a writing minor at UT Martin, and also took creative writing classes at Murray. So I've always wanted to be a writer.
The romance area was your niche. That's
No, that was not my niche, but I knew that world because that's where I was most successful as a narrator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then there are several events that take place across the United States of America where thousands of romance fans go. And so I got to know a lot of other romance writers and just kind of fit in with them. Like it was kind of my tribe, weirdly enough. But I'm also currently now writing a mystery. So, I mean, you can carry it over into many different things. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
So that's enough.
Okay. I got one more though for
Okay,
you. So Davis is in year one here,
That's true.
and this is what 23, 24 years for you. Is that about right?
Since 99.
So 25
yeah,
years. This is
yeah.
25 years.
You don't want to know where I was in 99.
Yeah.
Barely out, not in the womb.
No.
I was
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So, year one for him, obviously. Year one for you. What do you remember about year one working at UTM, or at least doing sports? And
Yeah,
things
I actually
like
worked
that?
in the sports information department with a gentleman named Lee Wilmot, who's a former sports information director, and he gave me an opportunity, and I would call at basketball games. And one of the things I remember was that I would write the stories for women's basketball. I was the contact, and I didn't know the difference between a tournament birth, B-E-R-T-H, and the birth, B-I-R.
Like a child.
Yeah, like a childbirth. And there was just the learning curve, I just remember like there were a lot of things I thought I knew but I didn't know. And I thought I knew statistics. And when you really get into it, and that first year, I realized that I didn't know much. And I was just a blank slate, learning everything that I possibly could about how it worked, and possibly wanted to be a basketball coach, quite honestly. And I just absorbed it and wanted to know everything about it. Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
How about year one for you, Davis? Obviously, how's this been going for you? Has it kind of been the same experience? You get in here and you think you know, and then you don't know?
No, yeah. I mean, it's a different world. I mean, it is crazy how, I mean, you can go from being in Florence, Alabama on a Saturday night for a college football game, and then you got to be back at home on a Sunday afternoon for a soccer match, and then you write about that soccer match, and you have to then you got a podcast on Monday, and the planning and everything. It is a lot, and there's been a lot of learning that has happened now.
Yeah.
a ton of learning.
One thing you have to have is passion, though.
Yes.
What have you seen on his side of passion?
gosh.
More passion than I've seen from anyone ever. I mean, even in the heart of the contest, the game, prior to the game, after the game. Yeah. I mean, there comes a point when you do so many games that you become a little bit emotionally detached from it because that hurts too much, because in our industry, you're going to lose some heartbreaking games, and I think you get desensitized to it. With young Davis here, I mean, that passion is so strong. I actually am jealous is not the word, envious is not the word, but I remember when I was that passionate with every win and loss, and it's just a magical time. Yeah, and I see that in you.
You know, and I'm being in the media for so long, I'm just numb. I don't get up high, I don't get low, I just kind of adapt. You're from Knoxville.
Yes.
Okay, so you're not a Vols fan.
No, so I mean, I keep up with Tennessee, and I like Tennessee a lot. But my mom graduated from Auburn, and so being raised up, I grew up in Chattanooga, and my mom was a huge Auburn fan, same as my dad. They both graduated from Auburn when Bo Jackson was there, and Charles Barkley, Frank Thomas. So that just got passed on over to me.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
and then you come here.
Yes.
And because you get the opportunity to do student radio, you've become a UT Martin Skyhawk fan. Like you get hurt after losses.
I think, and I know exactly where the moment happened where I became a UTM fan. Was the OVC tournament 2020. The UTM women, great team. This was Chelsea Perry, Maddie Waldrop, now Maddie Spencer, who's assistant coach on the team. And we lost in the tournament championship to SEMO.
Yeah.
And I remember after that, I was actually hurt when we lost. Like I was
Davis.
I was so sad that we lost. But I remember I came back to my dorm room. I'm like, I'm for this team now. Like if UT Martin plays Auburn, I'm a UT Martin fan. If UT Martin plays Tennessee, I'm a UT Martin fan.
Good.
Because I graduated from here. That's how it's supposed to work. You know. But, no, I remember that moment very well because I wanted us to win that game so bad. But, I mean, we wouldn't have gotten to go to the NCAA tournament.
Right.
It is what it is. But
do you have a moment here in 25 years that you would explain to a non-sports fan to make them care? Is there something that sticks out from a sports standpoint that you would tell a story to someone who maybe
to make them care about UT Martin?
Yeah, or just something that sticks out to you in memory that you would share in
that's
a
really good
conversation.
question. You know, the little moments are, and an example is we just went to Edwardsville, and Cleve Woodfork, a former UT Martin Skyhawk basketball player, was there. And the joy and the happiness I see with the fans that have been here and supported us but moved away, going to Denver, Colorado, and looking up and seeing a guy that was from Martin who wanted to see UT Martin play the University of Denver, and the former players and the passion that they have and the legacy that's been created. And you really see it in women's basketball, but you see it in every sport with the Tangerine Bowl and football, Lester Hudson in basketball and what they did in the Gulf South Conference. But in basketball, Pat Summitt, Lynn Dunn, Betty Giles, Nadine Guerin, they have statues. And I think that we have a responsibility to all of those who paved the way to where we are now to make this place better. And I see the love in the community that this, and I'll call it Skyhawk Nation, Pacer Nation is another word. But I'm just overwhelmed that wherever we travel in the country, someone knows something that UT Martin did, or knows an athlete, or we see an athlete, and it's pride. That's what it is.
That's always the neatest thing too. When you go somewhere and you run into somebody randomly, and they're like, they see you wearing a Skyhawk, and they're like, "Oh, UT Martin." You're like, "What? Like, how do you know this?"
Yeah. And if it's
Right?
2
And it
hours
happens
away,
more
it's not
often
that big of a deal. But if you're in California at an airport, you're like, "Wow, really?"
It happens more often than it doesn't.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So that's what's magic, and I'm glad to see you on board now. Because you're going to make this place better. And I hate to see you leave because you are making this place better, but I appreciate what you did while you were here.
Absolutely.
And I do always know that a part of your heart will be UT Martin.
Oh, absolutely.
Always.
I've been
believe
following
that.
it since before I got here.
Yeah.
So I'll follow it long after I'm gone,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So.
And I believe that. And you can still have a positive impact on us, even though you're going to be a few hours away.
Well, thank you.
of course,
All right.
of course. I guess is that all the questions you have for us? I guess?
We're way over.
Yeah,
Jody's lost interest.
Yeah,
Jody and James
Jody
are
and
over
James,
there.
they're out of it.
Hey, how are you? So,
We're still here.
Again, we're over the shark.
We're over it.
Look,
But, our producer just showed up too. Okay.
See, that's when you know you're way over time. Is the guy
Yes.
that produced the show is coming in here to eat.
Yep.
So I'll wrap it up by
Yes.
saying thank you for
Thank you.
you
Yes, thank
being
you.
here. I know how long were you here? 18 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, 18
I lasted longer than
Yeah,
a lot
no,
in
but
my
18
position,
yeah.
I think. So.
But I mean, you made a lasting impact, and I appreciate your friendship, but I appreciate the impact you made, and I know that you'll continue to make an impact, and that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Well, we wrap it up.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.